a Japanese doctor who went on board yesterday has released an absolutely damning video of the conditions on board the ship, which he says are chaotic and scary, and he is not surprised that very many people have fallen sick.
Yes, Simon, we have been hearing many reports of utter chaos on board, and there are still hundreds of people on this boat. What is happening to them?
Well, they're being released, as you said. The foreigners who are being taken back to places like the United States and Canada are being given another 14 days quarantine because those governments don't believe that the quarantine on board the ship worked. The Japanese patients who test negative for the virus are being allowed to leave. They're being allowed to board public transport this afternoon and go home. So Japan doesn't really want to admit that quarantine failed, even when other governments basically have made that decision that the quarantine was not effective and that people were still being infected on board the ship. It was a difficult decision for Japan because they didn't have facilities for 3,600 people on day one. But as time went by, it became increasingly clear as the number of people rose that the quarantine wasn't the right strategy. And I think many people felt Japan was very slow to react to the changing reality.
Yeah, Simon, what does it tell us about the Japanese authorities and their ability to deal with this type of crisis? Do they not have the capacity to deal with an outbreak of this size?
Well, look, you know, the doctor's testimony, he said that there was no expert in infectious diseases running the show on board the ship. It was entirely bureaucrats running the show. There were no procedures. He's treated people in Ebola, in Africa, in SARS in China, in cholera. He knows how to protect people and protect himself. He's never been scared before. He said he was scared of the conditions on board the ship, and he's put himself in 14 days quarantine as a result of being on board that ship. He's keeping away from his family, he's keeping away from his patients. So he was absolutely shocked. So yes, bureaucrats in control, scientists being sidelined. It is a little bit a case where I think the politics of the situation took precedence over the science.
And Simon, just quickly, how is this all of this going down in Japan? What do people there make of how the government has dealt with this?
Well, that doctor's video, last time I checked, had already been seen 750,000 times. Yesterday, opinion polls came out showing Prime Minister Abe's popularity falling quite significantly by 5 percentage points, and more people questioning his handling of the crisis. So yes, there is a real political cost for the government. It wanted to avoid bad news ahead of the Olympics, but now it has got bad news and big questions about its handling, and it has to deal with them.